So I'd like to speak to how Piaget has specifically influenced my classroom practice. I'm in my third year with my own second grade elementary class. Prior to that, I taught overseas. I taught English at Cobble University, and I also taught at Richland Community College writing and grammar for ESL. And currently, as a second grade teacher, the last few years, how I've been influenced in my classroom practice by Piaget has really been looking at the importance of giving the students the freedom to construct their own understanding and not feeding them what they should think or how they should accommodate the new information that I'm trying to teach them, but rather give them enough space to assimilate and accommodate the new information that they're learning. And most of the time, they do that through exploration and play with each other. Now, it's a little bit difficult in the context of a public classroom where I have certain TEKS and certain standards that I'm required to cover, and there's a certain pacing calendar and a certain pace really of our day that I have to keep. Sometimes keeping things completely open-ended where they have full freedom to explore the environment isn't always realistic. But what I've attempted to do is build some of that exploration into the activities that I provide, that they're able to take ownership of, and some of the questions that I pose, allowing them to be more open-ended instead of a yes or no answer or a multiple choice. I also have found that Piaget, something that was very important to him was that the learning in the context of like the classroom practice was student-centered and didn't center around the teacher, but rather centered around the learner. And so the learner was driving the direction of the curriculum as opposed to what is being prescribed. And again, this is another tricky one when we have standardized testings that the students are required to take, and we as their homeroom teachers are held accountable for their mastery of these certain skills. Sometimes it's difficult, but I don't think that it's impossible. I think you just have to get creative, and I think giving them opportunities to problem solve, like authentic problem solving, where they're working in collaborative groups and they're able to think through things kind of organically, I think is really essential. One of the things that Piaget touched on in his writings was the concept of metacognition, which we're very familiar with in education. It's thinking about thinking. And I think sometimes if we model that openly, like we model, well, I wonder, here's what I would think. Like in math, for example, we've been doing addition strategies. So we do make 10 or a near double to help add two double-digit numbers. And so what that might look like is I give a model like, well, okay, so we have 19 plus 11. 19 plus 11. Well, if I look at the ones place, in my mind, I would know 9 plus 1 is 10. So I can make a 10. And 1 plus 1 is 2. And so that's 20, right? Because one in this tens place, one in this tens place is 2 tens. So 2 tens, and then I just made another 10, 3 tens. That's a little muddy, but I would model how I would think about that and then really challenge them to explain either in a sentence or two or orally if writing is something that they struggle with. encourage them to talk through their thought process. And so that's a more concrete example with math, but I think that it's definitely one of the main things that Piaget has contributed in terms of influencing the way we practice, giving the students the freedom to construct their knowledge and assimilate and accommodate the new information we're trying to teach them.